Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mamabolo. I am presenting the Animal Identification, Traceability and Performance Recording in South Africa with support from colleagues from the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, the ARC and University of Pretoria. Due to time constraints, I'm going to move quickly and try to focus on area that I think would be more in line and focus to the purpose of this symposium. As you can see, the first slides give a lot of background in terms of animal identification and the socio-economic role of livestock in our lives. You are all aware that the issue of animal identification dates very back, very long time, and it's a system that has been used throughout the globe to identify animals, even in terms of what some people may think is a traditional setup, is that the animals are marked. I am going to skip this slide. However, I can mention that we feel that there should be a system that we have in place that combines individual owner identification, individual animal identification, and traceability system that guarantee and address challenges that need to be resolved that will enable us to progress with the improvement of production efficiency, because that's something that has been practiced for quite some time in South Africa. However, at the same time, while we do not want to lose on the knowledge and experience that South Africa prides itself on this performance recording, we strongly believe that we need to polish our animal ID and ensure that we have traceability. And we will learn from polished wheels from our neighboring countries and others present here. We do have compulsory animal identification in terms of Act of Parliament, that is Act number 6 of 2002, which applies mainly to non-registered cattle, sheep and goat, which is kept on the system that today currently has 660,000 registered marks. We also have a legal animal identification system, legal in the sense that is covered under the Animal Improvement Act 62 of 1998. But this covers mainly stud breeders. It includes application of this act to over 70 livestock breeder societies that we have in South Africa. The individual animal identification for recording and traceability is the one that is used mainly under this act. It has got owner mark, and while in the case of non-registered animals, there's a wide range of methods that are used, such as tattoos and hot iron branding, and that some at this stage have no legal status. The main advantage of animal owner identification is that we want to ensure visible deterrent or address stock theft. Yes, we agree that a mere identification or branding of the animals may not prevent stock theft. We believe that can be handled by cooperative governance by way of ensuring that there's a working relationship amongst farmers, the government, particularly the police services, which has got more competency on addressing theft. The other advantage is to provide proof of ownership for monitoring of livestock at sale yards and abattoirs. And this can ensure more positive and effective policing of animal or stock theft. It will also ensure recovery of stolen or stray animals. It will also assist with owner identification for recording, monitoring of movement of animals. In this case, what happens here is that in certain provinces, the dips where animals are treated for certain animal diseases that such identification is linked to the deep. Therefore, when animal is lost or is in a different area, it is possible to be able to trace where the animal come from. The major challenges with this system is that, despite the fact that it is compulsory to mark all non-registered cattle, sheep, goats, and you name them, is still being accepted at sale yards. And one feels that if it's still accepted at sale yards, the possibility of an individual person selling other people's animal is possible. It has little or no traceability. There's no provision for individual identification, because in this case, an individual farmer with any number of animal, for as long as it's not registered, they receive one brand mark or one ID number. For sure, that is clearly a problem. The other challenge that we have is, unlike Namibia and Botswana, if I'm not mistaken, there is a country mark. Animals from Namibia have got a letter N. We are not yet at that stage. So the individual animal identification that is in use is only limited to seed stock livestock breeders, where these breeders use it for animal recording and evaluation of the schemes. It's linked to owners, so it is possible to trace such animals, and it's therefore very easy to market such animals, including their related genetic resources. The individual animal ID is only legal requirement with the registered animals, as I've indicated, as per Animal Improvement Act. And the institution appointed by the Ministry of Agriculture provides the prefixes and the suffix that are used on this for identification of this animal. And that is put on a web-based system called INTAGIS, Integrated Registration and Genetic Information System. Now, the other challenge that we have is that the two systems are not linked, because the former I mentioned earlier, there is animal ID system within the government, but it's not linked to the system that is also within government, but it's not used for commercial or rural or non-registered animals. You can see here that with this ID, this is a sample that is coming from from Zimbabwe. It has been brought to South Africa here, and with the use of the tags, it is possible to use the original Zimbabwean ID with the tags and put the South African tag. So this is basically to show that our challenge can be addressed quickly because we have got a political will. However, I think we are lucky because of this conference and this symposium. We'll be able to learn from experiences and learn from other countries to improve our system. So all in all, I'm trying to say that we have got all necessary resources that are needed to ensure that we do improve on our animal traceability. The animal recording in South Africa, I'm referring here to a performance recording, it dates back to many years ago, to as early as 1917, and started with the milk recording, and it progressed to cattle, pigs, and other livestock species that are used for food and agriculture. So under this system, there is a facility in the form of integers where all animals that are registered with the breeder societies are recorded, and this system is currently managed by the Agricultural Research Council on behalf of the ministry. Because of our history, most animals in rural areas, or rather farmers in rural areas, wanted to participate in the system, but they could not. However, with the new dawn of democracy in South Africa, the system, there has been establishment of other schemes to involve previously excluded farmers to take a role in terms of the seed stock industry. And as such, The scheme was then established to be able, in the name of Kana Fazeri Home, which is improvement of cattle. This is a flagship project whereby the focus and objective is to ensure that all farmers in the country who wish to participate in livestock industry should be able to participate through this system. Obviously, you would understand that if the recording system started from 1917 and other people were not there, something needs to be done to screen their animals, to follow all necessary processes that needs to be followed to ensure that they comply to the requirements of the seed stock industry. Now, I've indicated that with this system, the individual animal identification makes it possible to record and evaluate all animals, and this enables all decision makers, including researchers, to make a reliable decision for genetic information that is becoming more and more accurate with recent advances. We hope with genomics we'll be able to take part. Our challenge obviously is the numbers of animals that we have. But as you know, genomics is also is making inroads slowly in Africa. But we hope that perhaps it can also be able to help. So we are looking for any system that could be able to ensure that we are on track. We don't lose on performance recording. We don't, at the same time, exclude farmers who want to participate. We, at the same time, try to look for ideas to be able to have one compulsory animal identification, traceability, and recording. Also, as such, this makes it possible to trace animals, particularly those that are in the livestock industry, and this may depend on information that is collected. The information is collected and stored on the livestock database. It combines the pedigree and performance of information to improve animal genetic resources in South Africa. This has enabled us to be able to take care of our indigenous breeds, because without recording, obviously, we would not be able to have a guarantee as to the status of these animals. We do have some independent registering authorities in the name of Breed Plan. They do similar service, and they also put their data on national database to be able to help us to make informed decision on what we have in terms of livestock in the country. Because of the experience on the animal performance recording, South Africa is a member of ICA, and for sure it speaks for itself as to why we are a member of ICA. And this is brought down clearly to ensure that from the previous two fellow countries that presented, you could sense animal ID and traceability was made for the market. But our wish in South Africa is to make it to cover all important aspects that relates to ICA, OIE, and at the same time, that system should be the one that that meets our local requirements. And at the same time, we don't want to lose out on the market share that we have in terms of livestock resources. I will skip this because what I've mentioned about traceability and the systems we have, for sure it speaks for itself. Like any other country, you need to have a disease-free country. You need to be internationally recognized. And yes, there are challenges here and there. The challenge is, from the outset, I've indicated that we have got two acts of parliament that are at this stage are at different levels of refinement to be able to address problems such as the permanent visibility mark has got some advantages in terms of stock theft. There is a lack of official country mark. There is individual animal identification, which is used by the stud industry. However, with the recent outbreak of FMD, it has been able to use the ID system to be able to curb the disease. But having achieved that objective of identifying the animals in order to control the disease, making this compulsory, it requires a change in legislation, the two that I've alluded to. And this is currently at different levels of review. Obviously, in the review, we will ensure that everybody is involved, particularly because there are some provinces in South Africa who are doing animal identification and traceability. Obviously, you don't want legislation that at the end will deter them or take them back in terms of the progress that they have made. So, in this case, we believe that the existing system, integers, should be able to help us with this because already it has a module of animal traceability. It was just never used because of the different legislations that we have in the country. But I think we are getting there. And so what we need to develop now as a country is a system that combines visible individual owner along with ear tag for individual identification to record all events related to animals such as birth, death, head compositions, and to monitor our health status, obviously, to ensure that these benefits accrue to the public in terms of health, to the government, in terms of better decision making, and ensure that we have a full value chain traceability for marketing. And of course, we would also like, in the end, within as outcome of that review of legislation, to have also our country mark on our animals, just to ensure that if the animals go beyond our borders, they could be able to be traced back to South Africa. Thank you.